What's happening, folks? This is Comedian Token for Lateral Grip, the podcast. And we're going to get into it. All right. We're going to talk about some NASCAR news, some folks being sued, some things that are happening with some folks being sued. We're going to talk about the breakdown of the races this weekend. And all that's going to be next on Lateral Grip. And I look forward to hearing your responses. If you have questions, concerns, thoughts, please hit me up with them. Hit me in the DMs, hit me on the thing. I am also live on Instagram and YouTube at the same time doing this podcast. So any feedback would be appreciated. And here we go. All right, folks, lateral grip. Let's talk about some notables right now. JGR, as we know, is suing Chris Gabehart. They're suing him for basically taking well, what's the word I'm looking for? They're suing intellectual property. There we go. They're suing him for taking intellectual property, property that belongs to them, maybe even property he developed. But while he was at JGR, it needs to stay at JGR. That's the way JGR feels about it. And so they filed a restraining order with in order to try to get him to not be able to work for Spire Motorsports, who he works for now for the next 18 months, in order to get their property back as well as the major lawsuit they filed. Now, the judge did come back on this. She determined that while he can still stay employed with Spire Motorsports, he cannot utilize himself in the capacity that he was doing it at JGR. So, if he was chief of operations at JGR, he cannot do the same chief of operations role at Spire Motorsports. And she also ruled that he needs to give everything back that JGR has given him. So, those files that we're talking about, um, those are probably part of that there. So this is going to continue to be an ongoing thing. We're going to see what happens with this. We're going to see how this moves forward and how this goes. Now, last week I did talk about Corey Day. Corey Day, I told you to slow it down. I told you to you don't have to win every lap. Well, road course racing this week, um, Corey Day didn't slow it down. Corey Day did well throughout the race, but Corey Day definitely made some mistakes in just going too hard, probably at the wrong time. Taking a guy out. That guy being Connor Zillage. We're going to talk about that more when we do get to that particular race. But Corey Day, at the same time, I'm telling you not to do those things. I see your finishes in the race, and I gotta feel like you're feeling pretty good about yourself right now. So, it's gonna be a hard pill to swallow. You're not making any friends out there, but you are finishing races and finishing pretty well. So, it's gonna be questionable on how far that goes. What's up, film girl? How far that goes and where we see there. Once again, YouTube, Instagram. I'm sorry, Instagram, TikTok. I am filming my podcast Lateral Grip. You can find it on any podcast platform, including YouTube, where you can watch the video. So feel free to continue to follow me there, subscribe, and man, let your NASCAR friends know, let your race car people know that I have this podcast, and you will do that. Also, if you're looking for any sponsor opportunities or looking for some good VO reads, I'm a fantastic voiceover. So, I would love to be able to do your sponsor reads there, and I guarantee I will do them better than the producers of those other podcasts. And you know what I'm talking about here. So, keeping it moving, we talked about Corey Day there a little bit. Let's talk about the NASCAR races. Now, this was street courses, this was road courses. This wasn't really too much hardcore excitement, really and truly, in the NASCAR world this weekend, except that there was some storylines that we're going to have to pay attention to and we're going to have to watch moving forward. And in fact, it's a storyline that made the Cup Series race really worth watching, I guess, if you really want to break it down. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series street race in St. Petersburg, Florida. I almost said Fort Lauderdale. In St. Petersburg, Florida, they were the sister act, I guess, if you will, to the IndyCar series. The IndyCar series was on Sunday. The Craftsman Truck Series was on Saturday, and on Friday they tried to practice, and unfortunately the practice was rained out. Now, if you were following my YouTube and you looked at my shorts, you saw that I talked about a specific driver, and for some reason, Cole Butcher. There we go. I almost couldn't remember his name right there. Cole Butcher, who had a practice crash in practice about 3 laps in, and then pretty much it rained after that. And so with that being said, that was pretty much the end of the practice there. We talked about that wreck. We talked about how that's rough going to be starting from the back. But listen, Cole, great job, sir. I mean, you were one of the first incidents, unfortunately, on Saturday as well, but you came back to have a better than 15th place finish. So, good, solid finish there. I know that there'll be more and better things to come from you. So, great job, sir. I give props where it's due, and you definitely get them there. The street race though, the Craftsman Series Truck Street Race, my thoughts is it was about 20 laps too long. That's just my thoughts. I think the race could have been shortened just a little bit. I mean, it's a street course. It was something brand new, but I don't think the trucks needed to run that long. That's just the way I see it. There were 6 cautions in the race for 17 laps. So there you go. There's that 20 laps right there. We could have taken those 17 laps out. We could have taken and the race probably would have been a little more exciting there. Now, there are some notable things there. Let's see here. Mini Tyrell, the newest driver for the Ram series. Of course, Ram is new in itself, but Mini Tyrell is the one that won the job. He was in a crash on a restart, and he resulted in some damage there on his truck. Let's see here. What do we got? Justin Haley. Lap 3, actually. Justin Haley spun after contact from Stuart Friesen, so Stuart Friesen essentially took him out. The first stage break was won by Ben Rhodes. Connor Mozak sustained specific damage to his hood and so forth when he smashed into another truck there. And of course, that caused damage to other vehicles as well. Again, the second stage break was won by Lane Riggs, who eventually won the race. Lane Riggs was solid in that Truck Series race, and Riggs did really well. On lap 52, there was a caution. Derek White actually stalled on the track and brought out the yellow flag. And then there was a couple little multi-car incidents with them getting back to green. Of course, the trucks tend to do that. But eventually, Lane Riggs wins the race. Now, there were some notable things in the race. Dario Franchitti, James Hinchcliffe was in the race. James Hinchcliffe is one of the voices for Indy, and Dario Franchitti is a retired driver. Both of those are retired in the IndyCar series, but they got together. It's what we would call IndyCar crime on crime. Okay. Dario Franchitti, James Hinchcliffe, they get together. They rub fenders while battling for 5th place. Lap 17, Colin Braun, he made some contact and he went sideways, but he kept it out of the wall and he kept the race green. Lap 56, James Hinchcliffe, he spun in turn 5. However, that meant that, even spinning in turn 5, he still came back. He came back for a top 10 place finish. Dario Franchitti, however, was forced to do an unscheduled green flag stop, and he eventually ended up finishing 27th. Once again, as I pointed out, Lane Riggs wins the race. Congratulations to Lane Riggs. He's going to be doing some fabulous things in the Truck Series this year. There's no question about it. So our top 10 breakdown. Lane Riggs, of course, wins the race. Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes, Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith still holds the point lead because of his 4th place finish. Caden Honeycutt, Landon Lewis, Andres Perez de Lara, Daniel Hemrick, Colin Braun, and James Hinchcliffe, roll out the top 10. Now, Chandler Smith leading the points, Lane Riggs in first. Both of those are Front Row Motorsports. And so that means Front Row Motorsports is looking really, really good in the Truck Series right now. Having a little trouble talking this morning, which is kind of weird, but we're going to work this thing out. So that is our Truck Series race. That was Saturday. What was also Saturday was the O'Reilly's race. Now, O'Reilly's Auto Parts Series, they were racing at COTA, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Now, once again, we are talking about road course racing. Now, there were some notables in the race. Corey Day was in the race. We kind of talked about that briefly already. Connor Zilic was in the race. Shane Van Gisbergen was in the race. If you watch any type of NASCAR whatsoever, you know who Shane Van Gisbergen is. If you watch any type of racing worldwide, you probably still know who Shane Van Gisbergen is because he's won so many things in the Australian series in the past. But he's over here doing NASCAR, and he's over here taking the road course tracks by storm and honestly getting better every day. So SVG is making some waves this year, which is still pretty cool. So SVG was in a Junior Motorsports car this week, which, by the way, Junior Motorsports now has 10 straight road course wins. on the road courses. So 10 straight. I'm pretty sure you can guess who was driving that one of those Junior Motorsports cars right now. So here we go. We're going to talk about this race. There was some notable things that happened here. Kyle Larson, I forgot about that. Kyle Larson was in this race as well. Kyle Larson was in this race, and in lap 4, he went around. He basically was pushed around and sustained some heavy front damage. So he was pretty much done for the day. At that point, he just kind of was riding around there. Lap 34, caution was triggered when a car hit the tire barrier there. Stage two, Sam Mayer wins the second stage. Okay. Let's see here. I'm looking at notable stuff here that we really need to know about. Of course, I'd already kind of mentioned it already. Shane Van Gisbergen wins the race. Now, Shane Van Gisbergen was pretty eventful for most of the race. He was just kind of laying in wait. It felt like he was saving his stuff. He was within the top 10, and he was racing pretty conservatively. And when it came time to go, he went. He was gone. When it came time for Shane to go, he was gone. And with that, Shane Van Gisbergen wins another road course race. Lighting doesn't seem to look that good on TikTok right now, guys. Sorry about that. But yeah, with that, Shane Van Gisbergen wins the race, and he's got another road course victory in the O'Reilly Series. So our top 10 in the O'Reilly Series: Shane Van Gisbergen, Austin Hill. Don't say a country boy can't race a road course. Sammy Smith, Jesse Love, Corey Day. We talked about this. Corey Day ends up taking Connor Zillage out late in the race. Blames some fact that his car was dragging a little bit or something. Claims that Zillage went across his nose, which you watch the replays 1,000 times, you can clearly see that didn't happen. But when it's all said and done, Corey Day finishes 5th, which means that he finished 5th last week too. So he's probably pretty strong in the points. He's just not making any friends in the series right now, and that is something that he's going to have to rectify at some point. So Corey Day 5th, Brent Cruz, 17-year-old Brent Cruz in the 19 car finishes 6th place. William Sawalich 7th, Justin Allgaier 8th, Ross Chastain 9th, and Brennan Poole was 10th. That rounds out our top 10 for that. Basically told you what there. As far as the major storylines there, Connor Zillage wasn't happy. Again, Junior Motorsports, 10th consecutive. So congratulations, Junior Motorsports. Congratulations, Shane Van Gisbergen. And we move on to the Cup Series. This is definitely going to be a shorter podcast this time, guys. There's just not that much to talk about. In fact, the Cup Series race, once again, very uneventful. There's really only one major corner at COTA that you got to worry about, and that's turn 1, and that's where they get in there 4 and 5 wide, and you hope that you can make it through. And there were some spins in that. Connor Zillage ends up being one of those at least once or twice where he just gets ran into. He gets ran into from the back. Now, a lot of times you assume it's the car that was in the back of him that knocked him out of there, but it's generally 2 or 3 cars back. That car hits that car, and it just becomes a domino effect into that one car that finally spins out. And Connor Zillage ends up being that car. As they've said many times, sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. And unfortunately, it looked like in this point, Connor Zillage was the bug. So, so there we go. So, this particular race was pretty incident free as far as what would bring out a full course caution. Now, stage 1 and 2, Ross Chastain wins stage 1. Ty Gibbs wins stage 2. Ty Gibbs is trying to get himself into a winning position to be a winner in the NASCAR Cup Series. Ty Gibbs, of course, grandfather is Joe Gibbs. So Ty Gibbs, for lack of a better term, is family, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. People say nepotism. People say a lot of things. Ty Gibbs' family. Now, does Ty Gibbs work hard to get where he is? There's no question about that. I won't question that man's work ethic in any way. Excuse me, but he hasn't won in the Cup Series, and that's been a problem at this point. So he's still working on getting that first win, but there's no question that he's still going to have his ride. So, with that being said, Ty Gibbs does win stage 2, though, so that's a small victory. That's points That's points for those for that end of the year to get into that chase format to be able to move on and try for that championship. So excuse me. So we do have it there when it comes down to it. So the finish, the main storylines here. Tyler Reddick is going for 3 in a row. Now, Tyler Reddick did get the pole for this race. Congratulations, Tyler Reddick. His teammate Bubba Wallace, not so much. Didn't qualify that well at all. Just couldn't put it together for that lap. But as we'll see in the race, Bubba Wallace does come back. He finishes 11th in the race, so he has a pretty solid race when it comes down to it. And Bubba Wallace still holds a second place in the championship standings for the chase at this point. So in the regular season championship standings, I guess is what we're saying. So he's second place there. Now, who's first place? Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick. Congratulations, Tyler Reddick. 3 in a row. Tyler Reddick wins 3 in a row at the road course, beating Shane Van Gisbergen by almost 4 seconds. Shane was making a late charge. Shane was up there. Shane could have knocked him out of the way, I believe. I believe he was close enough to do that and taking that spot. Shane doesn't race like that. Shane races clean. Shane will race what you give him. If you gave him that non-clean situation, then he would race you the same way. But Shane raced the way he should have, and Shane just the tires went away. The handling went away a little bit. He couldn't get the speed. He basically used up the car trying to get past Reddick cleanly, and he didn't end up doing it. And Reddick pulls away. Reddick pulls away by 4 seconds. Reddick wins the race. Now, there were some notable things. Alex Bowman wasn't feeling well going into this race, and Alex Bowman, in fact, ends up getting out of the car. Mike Snyder gets in the car to finish the race on his behalf. Again, SVG, he was going for 6 road course wins in a row, which is a record that's being held by Jeff Gordon right now, and that record is going to continue to be held because right now there's only one driver with 1 race in a row right now, and that is Tyler Reddick. So um, another notable situation, AJ Allmendinger with the cool suit. Now, if you're not familiar with the cool suit, a cool suit is a series of tubes in a vest, essentially, that recycle water, or outside of your body. Cool water is the idea. Um, Recycles cool water outside your, to try to keep your core temperature down, to try to keep the driver cooler. However, when the vest fails, it fails in a big way because you can't take it off mid race. You can't take it off during the race. You're continually going. And instead of now giving you cool water, it's basically putting boiled water around your core. And that obviously is a huge concern. I got to believe it should be a safety concern for NASCAR, but they haven't made that a priority for some reason. I don't know why that is, especially with these hot months that we get into when it comes to racing and these guys that want to use these cool suits. Now, apparently, the cool suit needs to have air circulating through this box in order to keep the cool suit and keep the water flowing the way it needs to flow. However, it seems like the box isn't getting the air that it needs. I believe this is something NASCAR needs to look at because this seems like it's probably an engineering problem. And I don't mean engineering as in the box is engineered improperly. I mean it's an engineering problem as in the engineer has cut off the airflow throughout the car, allowing for the car to go faster. They're not worried about the driver being overheated or hot in turn, the car not getting the airflow through it the way it needs to in order to cool off the driver or in fact go through that box means that your cool suit is not going to work properly, and in fact you are going to need medical attention now because you are boiling instead of off. Again, this is something I think needs to be looked at by NASCAR. That's just all there is. I think they need to when a cool suit fails, I think they need to take that car and run it through a wind tunnel and find out why the airflow isn't getting to the suit like it needs to get to. I'm just saying, you do R&D for everything else. This seems like a major driver concern. This is heat exhaustion. This is a bad deal. So now, we had that notable situation there. We had SVG not winning the race. We had Reddick three-peating. Once again, congratulations, Tyler Reddick. One other incident that is semi-notable, Ross Chastain loses a wheel after a pit stop. Now, why this is notable in NASCAR, you lose a wheel on the track. This means that a couple of your crew members, the jackman and the tire changer, are going to have a 2-week vacation because they are now suspended for 2 weeks from that series. I believe they may even suspend the crew chief. I'm not 100% on that one. I could be wrong, but I know it is the jackman and the tire changer that do get suspended. So they'll be suspended for a few weeks. I am pretty sure Ross Chastain's team probably won't appeal this penalty, as it did happen on the track. There was no opportunity for them to do anything there. But yeah, so that is that. That is the Cup race. That is all 3 races for the season. Next week is Phoenix. If you listen to NASCAR purists, they say this is when the real racing starts. No more drafting track, no more road course. We're now going into an oval where we will find out what the cars really have. Well, I think we found out what the cars really have at the road course as far as speed and things like that. And also, there are some noticeable things to think about because there's the short track package, which is now 750 horsepower as opposed to the 670 that we had last year. So, will 2311 continue on the tear they're on? Michael Jordan seems to think so. He's going to be in Phoenix. He said it himself. He said, I will be in Phoenix. He has gone to a lot of races this year, but hey, if he's the lucky charm that makes it so they win. If y'all remember a few years back with 2311, every time he was at a race, they didn't do very well. Well, now he's at the race and they're winning. If he's that lucky charm, they're going to make sure he's at every race. Cancel that meeting. We don't even care what's going on. Nope, brunch is not happening this Sunday. He will be at that racetrack because they want to make sure that they give their opportunity to the best team. I'm sorry, to their team to win the race. And that team includes Herbst. That team includes Bubba, which, by the way, Tyler Herbst, he was having a solid run at Coda. There were some incidents that seemed like he got in. But he seems like he's having a decent year this year. I'm going to go into our top 10 here real quick. Tyler Reddick, once again, wins the race. Shane Van Gisbergen does get second. Christopher Bell third. He was last year's winner, so that's not surprising. Ty Gibbs fourth. Michael McDowell fifth. Kyle Larson sixth, Chase Elliott seventh, Ryan Blaney eighth, ninth goes to AJ Allmendinger. Again, remember he did have that cool suit issue, so immediately he got out of the car and laid on the ground and was immediately given medical attention. And then Denny Hamlin rounds out the top 10. Now, I am going to put this in perspective for you real quick if you're not thinking about it. Toyota, Chevy, Toyota, Toyota, Chevy, 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 Ford, Chevy, Toyota. Chevys and Toyotas dominated this race. And it seems like right now, Chevy is probably, going to be the one to beat when it comes down to it. However, again, Tyler Reddick and the Toyota is showing that everybody's getting beat by the Toyotas right now. So we move on to Phoenix next week. That should be some fun racing. That's if you remember that track, that's the one where when you go down into turn one, people will jam off the track, 200-300 feet away from the track, essentially, because there are no track limits there, and take what they call the shortcut. So you're going to see a lot of that next week. That's going to be a fun race. I look forward to it. I hope you look forward to it. We're going to sign off of Lateral Grip here. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. Again, anything you can give me to help make this podcast better, I would appreciate the feedback. I thank you all for joining in, for tuning in, and for listening every week. And once again, stay smooth, stay fast, and keep that right foot on that pedal. And this is Comedian Token for Lateral Grip. I appreciate y'all as always. Thank you.